Good day, everyone. My name is Joe Wetstead. I'm Vice President of Sales for accesso ShoWare. I want to thank you for joining us for today's webinar on pricing strategies made simple. I'm joined today by Missy Allnut. Missy is a sales engineer joining us from Liverpool, New York. Today's webinar will provide you with an understanding of accesso ShoWare's new enhancements related to pricing. If you have questions during the webinar, please use the question box in your GoToMeeting console, and our webinar organizer, Val, will collect them. We will address all questions following the presentation. At accesso, we believe technology has the power to redefine the guest experience. Everything we do starts with thinking about the guest experience first, which allows us to help simplify operations, improve guest satisfaction, and most importantly, drive growth for our clients. Our product team is always looking for ways to help you build loyal guests, as well as help your organization achieve its operational goals. An event at your venue is a great opportunity to forge a deeper relationship with that guest. You want them to have a great experience. You want them to talk about what a great time they had at your venue, and it all starts with the purchase of a ticket. A little background first on accesso. Being we're publicly traded, we released our financials last week, and so I thought I would provide a quick State of the Union on how we ended up last year. We're one of the largest ticketing providers in the world. Across our platforms, we're servicing 1,000 plus venues across 27 countries, and as a publicly traded company on the London Stock Exchange, we earned $102.5 million in revenue for 2016 for our investors. That's an increase in revenue of 10% over 2015. What you should take away from this is overall is security and reliability. accesso is a large company that has a significant footprint in ticketing. We're not an organization that will disappear tomorrow or next year. We have the right experience for the right industries, supporting operations from theme parks to water parks and zoos to live entertainment events and venues, of course, just like yours. As a measure of our progress as a company, accesso was able to invest $17.9 million directly back into R&D across our platforms in 2016. That's equal to some of our competitors' entire annual revenues, and it's a huge point of differentiation. We invest heavily in our products because our industry demands it, because our clients benefit from it, and because it makes a positive difference in the guest experience. You can rest assured that with accesso, your software will never be frozen in time, as innovation is core to our business and our partnerships. So let's get into some background on pricing strategies. Dynamic pricing is a strategy in which businesses set flexible prices for products or services based on current market demands. Businesses have been using dynamic pricing since the 80s. American Airlines is widely considered as a major pioneer in this industry. Former Chairman Robert Crandall adjusted ticket prices based on seat availability, passenger demand, and how far in advance customers made reservations. In the 90s, other companies with access to large stores of data, typically those in travel and hospitality industries, like hotels, car rental agencies, and other airlines, began to follow suit. But it was not until e-commerce became ubiquitous that retailers began experimenting with dynamic pricing strategies on a greater scale. As both technology and data management systems have become more sophisticated, many retailers have been successful with launching dynamic pricing strategies. However, many industries have been slower to adapt to this technology. So how about in the world of live entertainment and performing arts? These industries traditionally have been slower to adopt these types of strategies. One of the most common fears to dynamic pricing is feeling like you're gouging the customer. There have been a few widely publicized examples of this. Coca-Cola once experimented with a vending machine that charged more for drinks on warmer days, which ultimately backfired. It's extremely important to keep your loyal patrons or fans satisfied, and many organizations have been reluctant to adopt pricing strategies because they fear it will be noticed. Lyric Theater of Oklahoma, in a 2016 case study published by TRG Arts, revealed that they were petrified that people would notice and also complain. The San Francisco Giants partnered with a company called QQ to work on their dynamic pricing initiatives, but ran into some early pitfalls in the beginning with a rigid ticketing system. In 2012 interview with Forbes, Mr. Khan mentions that in addition to the emotional concerns about alienating fans, that was the second reason why the sports industry was so slow to adopt these types of dynamic pricing models. A little bit about ShoWare and dynamic pricing. With accesso ShoWare's inventory-based dynamic pricing, organizations can quickly and easily set up price changes to take effect automatically when the venue reaches certain set inventory thresholds. Inventory is automatically monitored, and you can easily schedule one or more automatic price changes. Percentages and number of tickets remaining are calculated against the total inventory and automatically deploy the price change the moment your inventory hits that threshold. This is a real game changer for organizations who are doing this manually, or worse, not at all, and missing out on basic supply and demand principles that increase your bottom line. Some of the benefits organizations realize with the new accesso ShoWare dynamic pricing feature are they're capitalizing on increased demand, they're encouraging purchase during periods of low demand, and incentivizing season ticket sales. Ultimately, the San Francisco Giants were able to work through their technical details and become one of the notable success stories for the live entertainment industry. They became the first professional sports franchise to incorporate dynamic pricing in 2009 and were able to increase revenue $7 million in 2010. In the 3 years following the Giants' success, these strategies have been adopted by a number of professional sports teams in Major League Baseball, the NHL, the NBA, and Major League Soccer. And today they're used by most sports organizations. Many of the organizations using this experience a 30% revenue increase in high demand situations and a 5 to 10% revenue increase in low demand situations. These teams also see fans buying tickets earlier in the cycle. In 2010, the Oakland A's did not sell out any games in advance, but did sell out 4 times the following year. So the takeaway here is more industries are aware of dynamic pricing, and customers are becoming aware that these things are happening, and it is gaining in social acceptance. The Lyric Theater of Oklahoma did eventually adopt a dynamic pricing strategy that contributed to a 41% increase in single ticket revenue in 1 year. And again, that's according to TRG Arts. To quote, "Once we went through the pricing sprint, we realized that we were not penalizing people, we're providing incentives for people to behave in a way that helps our business. We're doing a big favor to people that are most loyal because they're getting a discount. That made it so much easier." So they were able to, the Lyric Theater of Oklahoma were able to reframe their pricing strategy and provide incentives to their patrons, and ultimately paid off in a very nice increase in those ticket sales. So pricing strategy experts say there's 3 basic rules to follow when it comes to setting your pricing strategy. Pricing should be digital, pricing should be dynamic, and defensible. So digital, meaning automated with the help of algorithms. Dynamic, meaning it can adjust in real time, and defensible, meaning the methodology and reasoning is communicated, be upfront when asked, and demonstrate transparency. As a seller, you have to communicate why you're pricing it using dynamic pricing and what's in it for them, according to Gartner's Fletcher. The way dynamic pricing is communicated to the consumer and corporate customer will affect their acceptance. So let's talk about, we kind of dove into dynamic pricing there, and I'm excited for Missy to get to that part to show you our new dynamic pricing feature as the acceptance has been really great, but just want to touch on a few other pricing related features before we get to the live demo. So here we go, pricing code enhancements. The next feature enhancement is another development that came directly out of live entertainment world to help marketing departments easily administer promotions, and it helps still preserve higher value inventory and allows you to offer discounted tickets fairly across your entire patron base. With pricing code purchase limits, your organization can pre-program quantity limits on specific pricing redemptions. When the limit is reached, the pricing code is automatically disabled. So as an example, let's say you have a sponsored promotion for $5 off the ticket price, but you want to limit that offer to just 100 tickets. Set the performance purchase limit to 100 tickets on that pricing code, and the system will automatically disable the offer after the limit is reached. In another scenario, you may want to place purchase limits on high demand performances to restrict purchases by individuals. This is different than just a basket limit because that doesn't stop someone from coming back into your site to make additional purchases. With patron purchase limits, the system tracks the guest's email to validate, then limit the purchases to the program max. And this is a must for fan club or VIP club offers to fairly offer inventory to all your guests. The enhancements here can be used in conjunction with coupons or membership restrictions to help organizations control the number of total offers or discounted tickets available to the consumer. Next up is qualifiers, and this was just released last week. Our newest feature expands on our solution through pre-sales. This functionality allows exclusive access to your patrons through password and credit card protected sales prior to your public on sale. You can build stronger relationships with promoters, artists, and credit card entities while accelerating revenue and increasing your bottom line. Again, as an example, let's say you're working with a credit card entity who would like to promote a time-driven pre-sale. With our expanded access restriction functionality, creating this scenario is easy. All you have to do is determine which credit card will be accepted, schedule your restriction dates, create your customized messaging that will follow the entire transaction, and let the accesso ShoWare platform automatically push these sales. Once the restricted date has been reached, the system will open sales to the general public. And finally, a mobile revolution. If your pricing strategy cannot be completed via mobile, it's going to have a negative effect on your potential. Forecasts show that 32 billion, and that is billion with a B, ticket purchases globally will take place via mobile device by 2019. accesso ShoWare has developed functionality with this in mind and is ready to support your mobile sales operations. Every development effort starts with mobile, and we work up in the form factor from there to ensure the mobile revolution is leveraged for every ShoWare feature. And mobile is paramount these days. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Missy and have her take you through a live demo of some of the features we just discussed. Missy?
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, everybody, for joining today's webinar. So now that Joe has explained the benefits to incorporating different pricing strategies into your sales process, I would like to show you how easily it is accomplished within our solution. So what we're going to do is start on the back end or the administrative side. We'll walk through the pieces and parts and where you can find all three of these different pricing strategies. And then we'll pop over to the e-commerce side to show you what it looks like for the patrons during that sales and transaction process. So dynamic pricing, we'll start with the first one that Joe talked about. And this is done in the performance level. So under events and performances, what we're going to do is pull up our Jenny Fleming performance. And we'll look at the April 22nd performance. So for dynamic pricing, it's located under our pricing tab. And dynamic pricing, as it was mentioned before, can be set up at your different pricing categories. So you can have different dynamic pricing set for each one of the categories, whether it be the date-driven or the inventory-driven. So let's take it our pricing category 1 level and how it's set up. So under our maintain automatic price changes is where we would set up either scenario, that being a date-driven pricing change, dynamic pricing change, or inventory. And it is an either or an or. So if you're going to do date, it would only be date-driven. The minute you set an inventory level dynamic pricing change, it will disable the date. So under date, you have the ability to schedule price changes on one or multiple dates. In my scenario down below, you're going to see that tomorrow I have a date-driven price change that I originally had scheduled, but the status is disabled. And the reason the status is disabled is because I have inventory driven. So it's an either or. And if you have just date driven, you can have one or many date driven changes where you can incorporate different strategies for this particular performance, and again, under this particular pricing category. So let's talk about our inventory automatic price changes. If I drop down my menu, you're going to see that the price changes can be reflected at every 5%, starting at 5%, going up to 95%. You can make pricing changes based on that different inventory threshold. You're going to see that 5% and 10% have already been reached, so you cannot make an inventory price change based on those, but you can pick any other price change. And again, just like the date driven, you can have multiple levels of inventory driven changes. And you can see that I do, in my example, have two different. One has already been enabled or completed on 4/5, where I had at 10% or at 92 tickets, I had a price change. At 30% will be my second one where it's pending. And then, like I said, you have the ability to be able to create others. You can also see really quickly that so far to date that we have 11% or 93 tickets sold for this particular performance under this particular pricing category. So again, this is our dynamic pricing. Set it and forget it. You do have all other changes as well. If you want to, you have the ability to be able to execute these changes sooner than you wanted to. You can delete them if you've realized that you need to make other changes or remove the change that you've incorporated, or you can change it as well. So we'll go backwards a bit. And now we will take a look at the pricing code limits. Pricing code limits, again, are located underneath our pricing tab. And if I slide down through, you're going to see we've got purchase restrictions down here where we have the ability to be able to set up our pricing code restrictions. When you're pulling this up, it's going to present you all of your pricing codes that you have enabled for that particular performance, including any coupon codes. So you have the ability to set a performance purchase limit, on any one of your pricing codes. And once that limit has been reached, it will be disabled. As Joe mentioned earlier, you also have the ability to create a patron purchase limit. And the nice thing, as he said, is that by incorporating the patron purchase limit, you can set it up so that the system will recognize if I were to purchase 2 tickets that had a $5 off as I've got it, and I were to go back into the solution, into the system, trying to purchase 2 more, it's going to recognize my email. And it will invoke an error indicating that I've already purchased those tickets and I'm not going to be awarded any more of those discounted tickets. And just like we said before, you can create as many purchase limits as you want to based on your pricing codes. The system will automatically disable once you've reached that purchase limit. Certainly on the administrative side, you have the ability to be able to increase those limits if you want to again. So let's go over to the forward-facing or the e-commerce side and see how that looks when you're purchasing those tickets. So we were on the Jenny Fleming, so let's go to Jenny Fleming and purchase those April 22nd tickets. Let's just do a quick pick. And which we've reached our shopping cart. So if I drop down my menu, it's going to say, we're going to see that I've got just my regular price, a senior price, and a child price. But you're going to see that I do have my coupon code. Now, if you remember on the back end, I had my purchase limits set on that $5 off discount or this coupon code. So if I enter in my coupon code and unlock that pricing, it will present me with the additional pricing. You're seeing new pricing is now available. Drop down, you're going to see my $5 off is now available, but it's also showing you that this is limited availability. And limited availability will allow your patrons to know that that there is a limit on those types of discounts. And like I said, if I had the purchase price or the patron limit set to 2, and if I tried to purchase 3 at the end of the sale, it would then throw the error indicating to me that there was a patron limit put on this particular discount and that I need to go back and I need to reflect that in the basket. So the system will automatically recognize that, and like I said, it'll automatically disable once we've reached our limits. The third pricing strategies that we've talked about is the qualifiers. And qualifiers is, like Joe said, brand new to us. We just enabled this and released it last week. And that is located under our access restrictions tab, again, underneath a performance. So you can set all of these pricing strategies underneath each one of your performances and switch them out as you feel necessary. Under our access restrictions, we've already had our members and our member and password restrictions, and we also had our password only restriction. But what we've done with this new release is we've added some more functionality to the password only. So in the past, you had the ability to enter that password and apply that for the password pre-sales. Now what we've added is the ability to be able to restrict timeframes. The system will automatically assume that the performance sales date range is going to be your restriction period. But if I take off that restriction period, it's going to open up a date range for me. So I have the ability to be able to change that restricted period. So my password protected pre-sale now has the ability to have an end date. And once that end date happens, the system will automatically revert back and allow your public on sale. Joe also mentioned that you have the ability to utilize a restriction message, and this is totally created by you, customizable by you. So if this is an Amex type of a pre-sale, or if this is a member-only pre-sale, whatever verbiage you want to use, you can customize that. And as he said, it will follow your patron through the entire transaction stage. So that is our password pre-sale. But what we've also added, and it's brand new to the solution, is our credit card type pre-sale. Most of the time it's Amex, but we didn't want to limit it to that. And you do have the ability to be able to have American Express or any other supported credit card pre-sale. So if you're working with Visa, you have the ability to create a Visa only pre-sale or multiple credit card pre-sales. But for the sake of this demo today, we'll just talk about the American Express since that is the most popular. So just like the password, you can match the performance sale period, which will assume based on the performance online sales period that you put in when creating your performance, or in most cases, when you're talking an American Express pre-sale, it has a limit to it. So you're going to have a start date and you're going to have an end date that you want to be able to create that online sales demand for those American Express credit card patron holders. Again, the restriction message that will follow the pre-sale all the way through that transaction for the e-commerce side. So you can create whatever words you want to announcing this particular on sale. So again, we've restricted the period to tomorrow. We have a restriction message, and what we're going to do is just save that really quickly. So the settings have been saved. So now let's take a quick look on the online side, and let's empty our cart. And we'll go back to the Jenny Fleming performance. I'll again just do a couple quick picks. And what you're going to see immediately is American Express pre-sale is happening now. In fact, let me go backwards just to show you really quickly here again. We have two performances. One has the American Express pre-sale attached to it. So our Saturday, April 15th performance does not. Our Saturday, April 22nd performance does. So you can see MX pre-sale is happening now. So it immediately lets me know that American Express is going to be the only form of payment I'm going to have available to me for this particular performance. Again, it follows through. American Express pre-sale. I can pick my tickets. And again, it continues. So that customized restriction message is going to follow the sale all the way through. If I put these tickets in my basket and I go to purchase the tickets, we get to our payment portion. And in our credit card, if I start typing in a Visa or a MasterCard, it's going to immediately notice that this is the incorrect payment form. And it's going to throw the error indicating to me that I can only utilize my American Express card for this particular sale. So if I now try to type in my American Express, it's going to start recognizing immediately that this is going to be an American Express form of payment, and you can see that that error is now gone. So it recognizes immediately that the American Express is going to be my form of payment, and it's going to allow me to purchase these tickets that are in my shopping cart. So as a recap, 3 different fairly new ways in the accesso ShoWare solution for pricing strategies that you can incorporate at your venue and be able to help you drive some sales and drive revenue. Is dynamic pricing. So you have the ability to do date driven or your inventory based driven, and you can have multiple different scenarios and multiple settings as far as that goes. It's based on that pricing category, and it will automatically invoke that price change based on the date or based on that inventory threshold. Your price code limits. You have the ability to be able to set a pricing code limit on any one of your pricing categories. You can even set your patron limit, so the system will recognize if I try to purchase more than my limit is allowing me, it will automatically throw a message indicating that this is a limited availability and I've reached my limit and I need to change my price points. And then thirdly, which is our brand new release of last week, which is qualifiers. This is more like your American Express password pre-sales that you can attach a restriction date to and some customized messaging to be able to, again, drive those online sales and demands and revenue through the relationships that you're building with different credit card companies, artists, etc. So with that, I'm going to pass this back to Joe, where we will be able to do some questions and answers.
All right, thank you, Missy. We'll get to questions in just a moment. During today's webinar, we covered several of our new pricing enhancements, and I hope you're able to walk away with a better understanding of how we can help you execute your unique pricing strategies in accesso ShoWare. I encourage you to reach out to your customer service manager if you have questions on how to implement any of the pricing strategies for your venue. At the end of the day, we are your partner, and we only succeed when you succeed. I also want to reiterate that innovations at the heart of our entire accesso product line. Our aggressive development cycles allow us to deploy regular updates and enhancements to our systems. We highlighted today some of the newest features specifically developed for pricing related activities, and have also recently released integrated email marketing, a redesign of the front end and back end of ShoWare, streamlined checkout, and enhanced mobile features. And I want to make sure and mention there's always a lot going on behind the scenes to make sure your data is safe and secure in regards to compliance. At accesso, we're not just a team of programmers or web developers who happen to cater to venues. We are attraction, live entertainment, and cultural arts executives, marketers, operators, and developers who have experience in world-class solutions to address the specific needs of your industry. So let's get to some Q&A.
Thanks, Joe. Our first question is, how would these price changes show in the reporting?
Really, just like anything in ShoWare, you've always been able to go in and make a change to your pricing, and then that will just show as, so I sold, 15 tickets at this price, and then the next 15, I changed the price at this date and time, and then the next 15 were at this price. So it is all tracked within the reporting, and you would have a line item per pricing, per price, per se. And we can certainly review that with you with your project manager. But again, everything's tracked and broken down, just as if you were to do a manual pricing change.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our second question is, after a certain number of tickets are sold, if you're setting price changes by percentage of tickets sold, does the price change automatically switch back to the original pricing?
Right. So when you're doing your dynamic pricing, what you're saying with the percentages is really that's based on inventory. So if I have 1,000 tickets or 100 tickets, when 5% are sold, make the next 95 sell at this price, and you're determining what that price is. You're determining what the percentage breaks are, and you're determining what price you're going to sell at for each percentage break, if that makes sense. I think it should.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the next question is, does the dynamic pricing require a coupon code?
Does not. It's not. You can have coupon codes running, but the dynamic pricing is not a coupon code in and of itself.
Okay. And our next question is, do discount restrictions work with coupon password price points?
So that's kind of the same general question. Missy, do you have?
Can you repeat that again, Val?
Sure. The question was, I want to make sure that the discount restrictions work with coupon password price points.
Okay, and I'm going to make an assumption like Joe did that it's the same thing. So if you're going to be, we'll call it the dynamic pricing, and you're going to raise that price point maybe at a 50% inventory level, when you open up and when you create the new prices, what you're going to have to do is create that discount code pricing too. So if your regular price is going to move up $5, then your discounted pricing is going to have to move up incrementally as well. Otherwise, it's going to see the original discounted price. So when you're creating that new price point, make sure you're creating all price points that you want changed.
Great, thank you, Missy. Our next question is, are there any additional costs or fees associated with these new features?
The answer to that would be no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is there a limit to the number of pricing rules that can be run at any one time?
I'll take that one, Joe. And the answer to that one is no as well. So there's absolutely no limit whatsoever. And as I said during the demo, you have multiple opportunities to be able to make many changes. So schedule whatever it is that you want to, and the system will automatically make those changes for you.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, will current customers no longer use the minimum and maximum in performance build? I hope that one's clear enough to answer.
And it is. No, you still have the ability to use your mins and maxes within the solution. It's not going to interfere with your pricing code limits. The pricing code limits is going to take a look at total inventory and what is sold. So you can still use your mins and maxes on the back end for what you're going to see in the basket.
Great. And our last question today is, can inventory be restricted to a credit card and a specific section or location?
So today, no. The qualifiers is coming out in 2 phases. Today we showed you phase 1. which incorporates the password and the Amex restricted pre-sales. Phase 2 will wrap our arms around location or section-based pre-sales. So keep your eyes peeled. It is in the pipeline.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for your questions, and thank you so much for your time in attending today's webinar. You'll receive an email tomorrow with a link to access the webinar recording. We'd also like to invite you to our next webinar on May 17th, where we'll cover fund development and donation functionality in accesso ShoWare products. Want to thank everyone and have a great day.